Hi everyone. Welcome to the conference number 22 of the Phase B of this self-knowledge course. In this conference we will study a very interesting topic, titled, The Private Life of Each One. The objective of this lecture is to show us that we all develop on three different planes, that they should not be confused or mixed up with each other. This lecture is very important because understanding these three aspects, knowing how to differentiate and separate them, will allow us to have better relationships with the external world, and above all, it will allow us to have a better relationship with our own inner being. We will be learning why is it important to keep the necessary silence in relation to our intimate life, which is the relationship we have with our own being, in our inner world. And we will understand why it is important to keep silent about the different advances and internal information that we are receiving along this path. There are three types of lives in which we all develop. There is our public life, which occurs with all people and situations outside our family. There is the private life, that is the one that occurs directly in our home and our family nucleus. And there is the intimate life of each one, that is related to our inner world and all the experiences that we live internally. Let's analyze each of them. The public life of each one is that aspect of our life that occurs from the doors of our home to the outside. That is, with people who are not part of our family nucleus. There, one live everything in relation to work, friendships, colleagues, students to whom we deliver knowledge, and in general, with everyone and everything relevant to the outside world. Public life is very important, since apart from the great psychological gym, which represents the different people and situations that it brings us, it is also the one that helps us to develop the beautiful factor of sacrifice for humanity. Since it allows us to develop conscious love, by giving the brothers of humanity the opportunity to receive the knowledge that will allow them to understand that their existence has a higher purpose. Then, we see that public life is of the utmost importance. It gives us the opportunity to do the merits of the heart for the advancement of our own work. And it also presents us with the opportunity, through the law of the mirror, to better understand ourselves and advance our psychological death work. What is important is to learn not to mix our public life with the other two lives. We must learn not to bring to public life things and situations pertaining to our private life. We must not bring to public life what happens in our home, the psychological gyms that we live with our own family. And above all, not to ventilate in public what happens in that very private life, which is our couple's relationship, and especially, everything related to the sexual part. This is private and shouldn't go out into public life. And we are going to analyze, now when we talk about intimate life, that we shouldn't ventilate in public life, the processes that we live internally, in relation to our own being, and the internal experiences that He gives us. But it is also very important to learn not to bring the problems of public life to our home. Leaving work at work, altercations and situations that are experienced outside, we must resolve them through psychological death, and not take them home. Since many times we have situations in our public life, and we carry that psychological song into our house, we carry it to the members of our family, and they end up paying for the broken dishes. As we can see, it is vitally important to learn not to mix these lives. The second is the private life of each. In this we find what is pertinent to the family, the parents, the children, and the couple. Observing this life, we see that it is also from the exterior world, and it unfolds totally in the outside world. Here we are going to find all the psychological gym that the family relationship implies. This life has a very important aspect, since its most private part, which is the relationship directly with our partner, will allow us to develop the spiritual birth. So, it is vitally important to treasure our relationship, give our partner the value and respect that deserves. Since is he, or she, that special person who is going to collaborate with us, so that the creation of the existential bodies that will allow our consciousness to have manifestation in the different dimensions of nature becomes a reality. And we are going at the same time to collaborate him or her. It is very important to learn not to take the private things of our family, but especially of us with our partner, to the public life. No one should interfere in the couple's relationship. We must work, understand, and eliminate those selves that like to go around talking about the things related to our family relationship, but above all, of our relationship with our partner. We must observe what are the defects in us that like talking with our friends, or with other relatives about our couple's relationship problems, looking for advice. This is a terrible mistake, since the things of private life must be resolved in private, through the work of psychological death, and the development of conscious love. But it is also extremely important to learn not to get into the private lives of others. To never go as counselors to tell others what they should do in their private lives, or how they should handle their relationship situations. Each person must, with the guidance of their own inner being and their own inner work, learn to resolve their particular situations. Therefore, if someone asks us for advice about his private life, it is our duty to tell him to seek and follow the guidance of his own conscience. It is also very important to remember not to bring the problems of public life into private life. Let us now see the third type of life, which is the most important. The intimate life of each one. To this life belongs everything related to our inner world. Once we start this path of self-knowledge, this life takes on a very important value. Since in it, we will find that intimate communication with our inner being, that will take place through our internal experiences, and in our inner work. In this intimate life that we live in our inner world, the different initiations, the degrees, the different advances that our being will receive as we advance in the work of the three factors, will take place. The internal experiences that each one is living in the internal world, everything that we live in the astral, mental, causal world, etc., are part of that intimate life of each one. The secret teachings that each one of us receives in the inner world, the different secrets that are being revealed to us as we advance in the inner work, etc. What is important is to understand that the intimate life prostitutes itself when we take it to public life, and that this is a very serious mistake that generates a lot of stagnation in inner work. When we learn to keep in silence the different things that we receive in the internal worlds, then we demonstrate that we are worthy of receiving all that treasure of wisdom that our being keeps. To learn to silence, it is important to work on our pride, because that is the psychological defect that loves talking about himself and about his intimate things. When we tell our experiences, they lose strength. However, if we keep them silent, later we will understand them, and that will give us psychological strength. By telling them or asking another person to interpret the astral experience for us, we lose the opportunity to make our own effort, to trust and seek the guidance of our own master, who is our being. And when we tell it out of vanity, pride, or indiscretion, we run the risk that our being stop giving us important information. Many of the experiences that our parents give us allow us to directly experience and understand different things, so they become reality and give us strength. Many times, internally we are given warnings through the astral world about things that are going to happen in the physical world, and things that would allow us to unmask many traitors, and the interference of black magicians who come to harm the process of sacrifice. We also receive warnings about coming recurrences, etc. That is why it is important to make the effort to interpret our astral experiences, and not tell them to anyone, because by doing so, many times we fail to realize the warnings that are being given to us. If we put another person to interpret our astral experiences, or dreams, for us, that person will tell us what he thinks it may be, but he doesn't know the different nuances, or the internal aspects that generated that experience. And we could end up confused and disoriented. On the other hand, if that person tends to guess what our being want to show us in the experience, then we generate a dependency on that person, and we go on constantly revealing to that person the different secrets that are entrusted to us. Then, we don't develop our own strength and confidence in our own sage, by relying on the strength of an external person. Another important aspect is that by telling our experiences, we are psychologically undressing ourselves before the person, or persons, to whom we tell them. In addition, if the person has knowledge about how to interpret dreams, and have bad intentions, he could use that information to manipulate us psychologically. Another reason why we must learn to silence our experiences is the impression we leave on those who listen to us and its consequences. Since by telling our internal experiences we can awaken in people envy, frustration, and they could even end up withdrawing from inner work for this reason, and we would earn a karma for it. On the other hand, if our experiences are very impressive for others, we could generate fanaticism, that they see us as someone special, and we can even come to feel special, thereby terribly feeding the mythomania. We must understand that we harm ourselves terribly when we tell our internal experiences. We do ourselves a great harm, and we risk being removed from the esoteric work for being irresponsible. We are going to be given delicate information about ourselves, about others, and about the universe in general. And if we don't know how to remain silenced, we could end up affecting the processes and the spiritual development of others. So, the internal experiences should not be told, because an oath that we make with the internal father and mother of not to divulge the secret teachings that are received is violated. And they are called secret teachings because we receive them in the superior worlds by the internal father and the particular mother, they are revealed by them. So, by divulging them, they don't trust us with secrets again, and then comes the darkness, that is, what is known esoterically as one night. The time and darkness of that night will depend on the seriousness of the fault. At first, as a penalty for our indiscretion, they take away the fluidity, or the ease, with which we unfold consciously to the astral plane and how often we do it. But if we resort to the fault, they don't allow us to remember our dreams, for a week, months or even years, depending on the recurrence in the error, or the magnitude of the information revealed. Then, it would be very painful to learn to be silent by dint of losing the light internally. We must learn to differentiate when the inner knowledge we receive is received in an open book or in a closed book. When we receive the esoteric knowledge in closed books, it is knowledge for our being exclusively. It should not be revealed in the external world. For this reason, it is necessary to know how to be silent. But if it is received in an open book, it can be delivered to our students. So, through intuition we learn to differentiate what we can talk about to enrich the understanding of the topics we deliver, and what we should keep silence. What we must be clear about is that everything related to internal advances, initiations, degrees, and internal processes is information that must be handled solely and exclusively between us and our inner being. We must not bring it to public, or to private life. We must be completely hermetic with that information. Well, this has been Conference 22 of Phase B. The next one we will study is titled, The Symbol of the Eagle Swallowing the Serpent. In this we will talk about the last 3 steps that must be taken to achieve self-realization, and how these were represented in the Mesoamerican cultures of the past. A very, very interesting conference. Thank you very much. See you next time.